back out here to church. They had a skid steer break down. The Takahouchi GL12. I don't know what's going on with it. Probably something electronic. But anyway, so they got me moving sand and spoils from the. Well, I was moving spoils from the drill rig. Looks like they got them another excavator out here, or a skid steer. So I'll probably go back to digging here in a minute, but I don't want to make fun of anybody that breaks down or anything, because I could be next, and you got to be careful. But this older equipment is a little bit more dependable than the new stuff, I'm just saying. I see a lot of the new stuff go down, low hours, just, rental equipment gets abused. I don't know that that's all of it. I think some of it has to do with the new equipment, the DEF and all that stuff, but anyway. I like my old, simple, reliable engine that's in this backhoe. Anyway, what we're doing is they've already drilled and poured. These piers have already been drilled and poured, and we're filling them in with sand for safety. So these guys out here don't fall off in them or drive off in them or whatever. This is kind of a congested job site, pretty small. For the amount of work going on, the footprint's kind of small. So anyway, that's what we're doing, but I need to get a hold of the Takahouchi ambassador, I guess, and see what's going on with the anyway. Elite Earthworks Brandon is he's the ambassador for Takahouchi US, which is, man, that's an awesome deal for him. So, anyway, I gotta give him a little bit of a hard time. But all equipment breaks down these days, and I don't think it matters what brand you're looking at. There may be some a little worse than others, but all of them have been hamstrung by the government and the EPA requirements of using DEF. The high pressure fuel injection systems, the diesel exhaust fluid, and then you've also got the EGR where the engine's ingesting recycled exhaust gas or whatever. I don't know. Anyway. I'm too old to mess with that stuff. I'd like to keep it simple. They got a crane set up over here. They're doing, I guess they had to do a casing on that hole. Anyway, this is another reason the backhoe is nice, is because when somebody says, hey, can you come move dirt? Can you come fill in some holes? You can stop your digging, swing the seat around, and go back to work doing something else. So I'll kind of show you what we got, just filling in. These are pretty good size, about a 48-inch pier. That almost took a full bucket of dirt or sand to fill that one up. You can see how I use my pivot brake or my turning brake to put my bucket down on the ground, pick my front tires up, and I can pivot, use the sides of the bucket to push the sand in the hole just a little neater. today. It's my third day on this job. And rear rig was broke yesterday, so they kind of got behind a little bit on drilling. I don't think they've been casing any of the holes out here, but they brought in a crane today to put in a casing on one of them. And they may have to do all of them that way from now on, I don't know. If the holes start caving in on them, then casing is kind of a way to keep that from happening. There is quite a bit of rock. It's not real hard, but kind of a sandstone material. Anyway. They need a water truck out here. Footing dug down that side there. We've got some footings that come off of the main footing there a little bit. This one's a little bit smaller, so it ain't gonna take near as much sand. That's about a 24 inch. 18 or something there. I'll get down a little bit. They poured the bottom in their elevator yesterday, I guess. Or maybe the day before. We dug out Monday. I don't think they poured it Monday. Back it in a little bit. Big one back here that we didn't quite get all filled in. Anyway, I got two pivot rigs out here. You can see they're getting into some mud on that big rig. Bit left. Not much. I gotta go get another bucket. Oh, there's another one. But the reason I use sand is I'll have to dig these back out. I'm not sure if we're digging a pier cap on those or if they just come up with the, they may just form in place the footing on top of it. I don't know. A lot of times when you do those, you end up with digging a square pier cap, and then they'll set anchor bolts on top of that for the building columns or whatever they got. I may have my relief coming. A big 360 LC. So I'm gonna gonna go back to digging, it looks like. They're gonna have this covered. Maybe. I think there's probably 2 more of them in here to fill in. Hay rings for safety on these holes, which is pretty typical. You would not want to fall in one of these holes. That'd be like the worst thing ever. Rebar's bent over, so there's not any, don't have to worry about running a tire on these. You gotta watch the ones that they stand the steel straight out of them. Bit of a hole up there I need to fill in a little bit. We're going to have to get us one more scoop, I think. I thought I was going to be loading dump trucks today, but I think their priorities got switched a little bit. We got spoils out here, not only from what I'm digging, but from the pier rigs as well. So when everybody's digging, you end up with a big old bunch of dirt. Backside of this and kind of push it the other way a little bit. So most likely if they're casing that pier, they're going to leave that casing in there until they pour the concrete, and then as they pour up, they'll pull that casing out. Or, worst case, casing gets stuck and they buy a piece of casing. I guess that happens too sometimes. A lot of these pier rigs have an attachment where they can pull that casing out, so it's possible they might be able to pour the casing all the way to the top and use the pier rig to yank it out of there as they spin it. I don't know. I'm just going from what I've seen happen. I'm no expert on that. Yeah, we're gonna need more than that one too. We got a little bit more out here we can use. Like I say, if you're handy for these guys to have on a job, they're more likely to use you. If you got the skill and the confidence that you're not, I mean, these can be high stress jobs. working around all these people and all the equipment, you don't, you know, there's always that. These jobs can be a little bit intimidating for a rookie. So, you know, I'm not exactly a rookie, so I handle them okay, I think. But I remember my rookie days when things were a little different. Best thing you can do on these jobs is just watch out, just pay attention. There's no, you know, there's no amount of work out here that's worth hurting somebody or getting somebody hurt or running over equipment. You really got to watch out. Backup alarms don't mean that people hear you coming, because they hear them all day long, and they're not, you know, they get accustomed to that sound, so in a way they don't even really, they're not that effective in my opinion. I mean, they are good in certain situations, but there are places where it doesn't matter. I mean, they got 15 backup alarms going off, and they're not going to stop and look at each one of them, so just got to be careful, watch out for everybody. And if you're on the ground on these jobs, my best advice to you is make damn sure you make eye contact with the operator. I'm always looking for somebody to make eye contact with me. I've noticed some of the younger guys, and I don't know if it's a generational thing or what it is, but sometimes the younger guys just, they don't look up. They look down all the time, and that's a bad thing to do. You need to look your operator in the eye, flip him off, you know, do something, make sure he knows make sure he knows where you're at. He won't hit you. He might if you flip him off, I don't know. But I've been real fortunate. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I haven't injured anybody. And I jokingly tell people I've never hit anybody by accident. I might have bumped a couple of them on purpose, but I have bumped into other equipment. You know, I've been pretty fortunate, nothing major. There was one of my early jobs. We were working on a Walmart, and the Walmart building, they usually are putting the steel up as you're putting the plumbing in it. And some of the places in there is kind of low clearance, or some of the old ones used to be. The new ones are all pretty high, but I started driving across the pad, and my back boom snagged they had a truss setting up, and they usually set their trusses up across the columns, and the steel guys had set a stack of trusses on top of that, 2 sets of beams there. Well, when I was driving through there, I snagged one of them trusses, and it knocked down. Luckily, nobody was in the way. It was probably the most dangerous near miss I've ever had. Luckily, nobody was in the way, but that stack of trusses hit the ground. I mean, they hit the ground flat. They didn't bend or nothing. I mean, it was just like a fluke deal. But it was one of them things. I was younger. I was a little more cocky probably. You know, there is no room for there's no room for just coming out here and hot shot. You can't do that on these jobs. Get somebody hurt. I could have killed a guy with that. It could have happened. Roll that thing out there. Probably good enough. That kind of opens up the job site a little bit when you don't have them things open. Moving spoils out of here, I guess. Get this out of the way so the rod busters can sit still. And this is some of what I dug out this morning. You can see the little ditches that come out of the main footing over toward that wall. There's several of them. We got to go back and dig some more of them out. But anyway, we got spoil piles in different places, so I'm going to take this one out a little further. But at some point, all this stuff will have to be hauled out of here. And they may do it themselves. They may, you know, if I'm here and available and they got dump trucks, they may have me load them out too. So it's a good feeling when you're busy on a job site like this. I think it makes the day go better if I'm not just digging. Sometimes I get pulled off to do something like this. It's kind of a break from the monotony. So I like my job. I just had to say that. I like my job. And it is a job. It's not a, you know, a lot of people say, well, you're self-employed, you get to do what you want. Well, not really. I read a comment the other day on something, I can't remember what it was, social media, but the guy said if you're a one-man operation, you're not really a business, you've just got a job, and he's kind of right. Business has employees that do the work, and if you're a one-man operation, you're that employee. So, you know, it kind of makes sense. But bragging, if you start bragging about things, about how, you know, I'm better than this guy or I'm better than that guy or whatever, that's generally when you screw up. That's usually when your mistakes start happening. You get a little cocky, you get a little bit of an attitude, you will get humbled, guarantee you. my pep talk for the day is, don't think too much of yourself. You're just out here like any other guy out here. You're not more important than the guy that cleans the shitters out. You're part of the project, and you're not your own deal. Ain't all that way. Some jobs you are your own deal. You're doing the whole thing. But on a project like this, you're just another spoke in the wheel, and hopefully you're making good money. That's always been the goal, is to make good money. So if you got a job you like to do and you can make good money, well, that's a bonus. That's your yearly bonus right there. A lot of these jobs, they like to have a spotter with the backhoe or whatever you're running. And it's a good idea. But you're not always going to have a spotter out here. People wonder where our good field dirt comes from. This is where a lot of it comes from. Actually, other jobs where they're hauling this stuff off. Slick things up a little bit as I work here. Try to keep the job looking neat as you go. Stuff where the drill rigs have drilled this out of the ground, it's really nice material. There's no, they're drilling through a lot of sand rock, sandstone, and clay, and it makes for some really nice dirt. So if this gets hauled to another job and compacted in, it'll make some really clean footings. Guys are building walls on the elevator down here. Figure you out a pattern on how you're working the dirt out of the job, What my plan is here is I'm pushing it away from where the steel workers are being next, or the iron workers. Try to clean that up where there's nothing for them to trip on. back when I first started working, safety was different. I mean, we did things way different. They might leave dirt piles by the ditch or spoil piles. You know, they might leave them by the ditch until the concrete's poured and then move it. But they like to work with a neat job site these days.